Election of Mayor 2013-14. To receive nominations for the election of a Mayor for the 2013-14 municipal year. May I remind councillors that in the event of there being more than one nomination for the election of Mayor, the election will be conducted by a show of hands in the first instance. May I have formal nominations for the office of Mayor for the 2013-14 municipal year.
Madam Mayor, it gives me great pleasure to propose my fellow ward councillor in Parsons Green and one good friend, Francis Staines, to be the Mayor in the next municipal year.
Are there any other nominations?
Formally seconded.
As Councillor Francis Stainton is unopposed, is it agreed that you be duly elected Mayor for this borough for the new municipal year?
Agreed.
Councillor Francis Stainton, it is with great pleasure that I formally announce that you have been duly elected Mayor for the 2013-14 municipal year, and I offer you congratulations both of the Council and from citizens of the borough. I invite you to come forward to make the statutory declaration of acceptance of office. Make the statutory declaration of acceptance of office as required by the Local Elections Declaration of Acceptance of Office Order 2001.
I will.
Please repeat after me. I, Councillor Francis Stainton,
I, Councillor Francis Stainton,
having been elected to the office of Mayor of the London Borough of Hammersmith Fulham,
having been elected to the office of Mayor of the London Borough of Hammersmith Fulham,
declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to the conduct which is expected of members of the London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham. Very good indeed.
has a nice sense of history, especially the Palmer, who was chief railway warden, and he's got his tin hat there. So I think he's a favourite of mine, which will probably all help for in particular preferences. I'm also delighted that my previous brilliant team have agreed to enthusiastically, in fact, commit themselves and their remarkable talents to their same modes again. The only slight change is that my cousin Will is now in baby-producing mode. The second one arriving hot on the heels of the first, and with more house moving, he's simply not going to be able to do much. So, during this, my last term, in fact, this process was already underway. And that was when Prince Mosim Ali Khan stepped into the breach. He's a natural for these duties, having been brought up to serve humanity, which is all his own profound instinct. So I welcome him now as an official one sort, as opposed to an honorary one. And speaking of instinct, I realise that my team exactly reflects the borough's multinational, multi-faith, and multicultural nature. In fact, if you look, I'll explain it to you. Pauline Niles Smith is Australian, and if she goes to church, it's Sylvie. We have Edward Vito, who is French, and he's a Roman Catholic. We have Prince Mosim Ali Khan, who is Indian, and he's a Muslim. And myself, I'm English, with a dash of French and Celtic, and I was born CLE, and I believe really in the common thread of truth that runs through all faiths. My chosen charity, as some of you may already know, hasn't changed. I just can't resist the draw of walking with the wounded. I think the idea of getting jobs for people whose lives have been so damaged and bringing them back to a new life and a new chance and getting their courage going again is something I deeply support. And of course now they have the last big adventure, which is going in not a race, but you know what people are like, they're competitive, right down from Alaska to the South Pole. So it will be a team of Americans, English and Australian. And we wish them all the luck. And then the big job starts of finding them employment. And I know many people who are helping them to do that, because that's the end point of all these courageous endeavours, is to get people to realise they can do more than they thought they could do, and they have got purpose in life, and they can do a job that's more important than finish. So I think that that is my sort of national charity, but then on a local level, I've got a little basket of three. There's the H&F care leavers, who are people who probably, well, suddenly they're not there anymore. They're 18, they've got to cook for themselves, defend for themselves, and they don't have the sort of family backup that really most people can rely upon at that difficult stage. And we want to get them in on a good path in life, so I just do something to help them. Also, Albert and Friends Instant Circus. I don't know if you know about that, but they're a terrific bunch who help children whose backgrounds are very difficult. And they're an echo of the Walking with the Wounded, and it's people who are disadvantaged who suddenly find they can do something other people can't do. Children learn all the tricks of the circus and suddenly start feeling good about themselves and have a sense of family. So I should recommend them. The third one is the Daisy Trust, which of course I've been involved with for many long year. I'm a trustee and a member of the committee. They help the borough across the board, all ages, all sizes, all colours, and often fill in gaps where funding is no longer available. So I should be delighted to help them too. Also, I'll let you know when something's happening, and appreciate your help that you're able to attend events and help fundraise with me. I'll be delighted to do that. Thank you very much. I now wish to inform the Council that I've appointed Pauline Niles Smith to be my mayoress, I've got Vito to be consort, and Prince Mosim Ali Khan to act as my consort as well, during the mayoral of the year. I call for Mrs. Pauline Niles Smith. Johnny Orford to be my deputy mayor for the mayoral year of 2013. I ask her to come forward. To speak on the presentation of the past mayor's badge.
Madam Mayor, I formally move that the past mayor's badge be presented to Councillor Belinda Donovan in recognition of her service to the council in undertaking the office of mayor and in carrying out other associated duties as a councillor.
Madam Mayor, I formally second.
I wish to invite Councillor Belinda Donovan to come forward and receive her presentation. Well, thank you very much. Belinda, would you like to address the council now, please?
Yes. It's been such an honour to wear the chains of Hammersmith Fulham and represent the borough this year. This year has been extra special because of the Olympics and the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, and we all celebrated both of these events here in our borough. My first thank you should go to Antoine de Navarcel, a descendant of Pierre de Coubertin, the founder of the Olympic movement, who loaned this torch to the borough this year. On the eve of the opening of the London 2012 Olympiad, Antoine ran with the torch to the entrance of the BBC at White City, the site of the previous 1948 Olympic Stadium, and at the finish line of the marathon. I'm now returning to Antoine this very special torch with very grateful thanks. We took this torch to schools in the borough, and the look on the children's faces when they saw your torch has been priceless. Thank you so much. I want to thank my consorts who helped me this year to make it so special, as well as Ita and Keith, who I could not have in any shape or form carried out my merry engagements without. Danuta and Arthur, who do so much for the Polish community and for whom I have been wearing with pride the Polish eagle, a badge which can be worn with the mayoral chains. I would like to thank Marilyn from the Hammersmith and Fulham volunteers who worked so hard, as well as Sandy Cahill for being such a superb deputy lieutenant and huge support to me throughout the year. I also want to thank the fabulous people who've invited me as mayor to such terrific events this year, both in our borough and all over London. I was able to go and visit Beaconsfield Town Hall and see my grandfather's name written on the wall of the council chamber as a previous Beaconsfield mayor. It has been such a pleasure working with the other mayors of the 32 London boroughs who have been my comrades in the chain gang, as we are called. It has been the greatest pleasure to work with West London Action for Children and the Mayhew Animal Home, and I'm so proud of our Hammersmith and Fulham cookery book. With Philippe Lasagna, I started our borough's first ever French club, and this is going from strength to strength. My final thought is that being there has made me realise even more than I did previously about the unsung voluntary heroes who do so much both in our borough and throughout London. Please can we give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much. It is an honour to pay tribute to the former mayor. I know that we on this side were particularly impressed with how she honoured the third sector with her presence, and it's fitting therefore that she talked about the volunteers that make civil society work in her final speech. Being mayor isn't an easy role. This is a very political borough, and as well as having to represent the borough as the borough's first citizen, she also had to chair these meetings. And we were respectful that she did that well. We just wanted one thing, the cookbook. I had a mean wild mushroom risotto. Mike here, who doesn't cook, but was a little bit disappointed with no microwave recipes. Although personally, I think that's a good thing. Probably it's the mic. So we cannot ignore the fact that you were there in the Olympic year, and this made it a particularly busy year. And it was a great year for London. And seeing the Olympics come to this amazing city of ours, the most multicultural world city, probably on the planet, and to pull off the Olympics with such skill. And the fact that our mayor represented as well at every single engagement paid tribute to her and the way she undertook the role. So, congratulations and good luck.
To say a few words about our person.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your kind words as well to the past Mayor. I should point out that I've known Councillor Belinda Donovan for over 20 years now, having first met when she was promoting her cookery enterprises. So there's obviously a common theme that's been running through all of this. And she asked me as a local business in Fulham to display her adverts, and we did. Belinda, I think you've enjoyed a very, very solid year as First Citizen. You brought energy, resolution to all the many duties that you carry out, and you've actually carried out an immense number of engagements, as the Leader of the Opposition has said. I'd also point out that you've carried out your role of chairing the Chamber with commensurate dignity. It's not easy to chair Hammersmith and Fulham, as the Leader of the Opposition has pointed out. We are very political, and it's probably not the easiest body when it's in full flight to hold together. But you've done that. You've brought order and dignity to the role of Mayor, and you've managed to maintain decorum without the need to shout. I think that's very important. I too am going to admit to one failure to do with the cookbook, and that was that you asked me to supply a recipe as well. I believe the cookbook, by the way, is still available for £500. It's all very reasonable. But like the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, my culinary skills are virtually non-existent, and so you're probably better off without having had my contributions. But I was very pleased to see that you managed to elicit some far more worthy people to supply recipes, such as the Mayor of London. And I think his was cheese on toast. or somebody described it as Boris Rarebit. Anyway, Belinda, you have followed the motto of the Borough of Fulham, Procumus et Civitate, for the citizenry and the borough. And we thank you for that, on behalf of the entire council, for everything you've achieved and for all you've given during your mayoralty. Thank you very much.
I now call upon the Leader of the Council to give a vote of thanks to the past consuls.
I also move, on behalf of the Council, a vote of thanks to the past consorts, Mayoress and the past Deputy Mayor, in undertaking their respective civic roles in support of the past Mayor, and invite Mr David Brough, Mr Charles Forsyth and Mr Andrew MacDonald to come forward and receive their past consorts' badges.